Hello everyone and welcome back to Reese and I talk about thrillers on Thursdays. I've had a stack of books here just building up, a mix of new releases and older books, and I've been wanting to show them and do a little bit of a haul so I can finally put them away on my bookshelf. Please let me know if you have heard of any of these and you want me to review them, or if you have read any of these and what you thought about them. But I have quite a lot, so I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. But before I get started, if you do want to give this video a thumbs up, it definitely helps out with my channel, so please do if you're feeling inclined. First up, and I should say a lot of these are authors I have not heard of or read books by before, which is kind of exciting. But first is All the White Spaces by Ali Wilkes. I heard about this author in this book on the Talking Scared Horror podcast, where they talk about horror novels. It's a fantastic podcast. I highly recommend. But I want to say I'm having trouble remembering because it's been on my TBR for a bit. But this is a historical horror novel that they say if you liked The Terror or The Hunger that you'll really like this. This takes place in the wake of the First World War, and Jonathan Morgan stows away on an Antarctic expedition, determined to find his rightful place in the world of men. On the ship is an extraordinary hero that he really admires, and Jonathan is excited to finally be able to live as his true self and his true gender on this ship. But a disaster strikes in the Antarctic, and the men must take to the land that seems both eerie and wrong, and this land is not anywhere marked on their maps, so they don't know where they are. They have to survive, and it's as a supernatural force will prey on their deepest desires and deepest fears, picking them off one by one. But I just really trust, I'm blanking on the name of the host of Talking Scared, but I really love his taste in books, and I think this was on an episode where they were talking about their favorite books, just horror novels overall. So really excited to dive into this, and I despise the summer. I hate being hot. I'm sweating right now. I'm just a little monster. My boyfriend likes to say during the summer. So I'm going to read this and just hope that it's winter and colder out. Then is one that for whatever reason I've been wanting to pick up, but every time I read the plot summary of this, I'll be honest, I'm like, why did I want to read this so badly? But this is Burnham Wood by Eleanor Catton. I kept seeing this just receive incredibly rave reviews. She wrote The Luminaries, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. This is a pretty new release. It came out in 2023. I saw Max of Well Done Books, I think it was, who I adore, said that this is one of his, I think, favorite books. But I'll give you the high-level plot summary, and I just think to myself, why do I want to read this? But a landslide has closed a passageway in New Zealand's South Island, cutting off the town of Thorndyke and leaving behind a sizable farm abandoned. The disaster presents an opportunity for Burnham Wood, which is an unregulated philanthropic guerrilla gardening collective that plants crops wherever no one will notice. And so I think our protagonist, Mira, who is the founder of Burnham Wood, I believe wants the property, but then so does the enigmatic American billionaire, Robert, and he also has an interest in the place so that he can build his end of times bunker there. Hearing that, it's then described as a gripping psychological thriller, and it doesn't really sound like much of a thriller to me. The plot itself doesn't excite me that much, but for whatever reason, I still really want to read it, so please let me know if you've read this and what you thought about it. Then I got a copy of The Body by Stephen King. This was gifted to me by my boyfriend's mom, and actually a lot of these that you're going to see are because she reads a lot, but this she picked up for me because she knows I love horror novels. I'm sure many of you might have heard of this, even if the title does not sound familiar, but The Body is what the movie Stand By Me is based on, and it's a quick novella. I think that this will be a really nice summertime read. As much as I despise the summer, I think this is going to be a perfect summertime horror novel, just when at least based on seeing Stand By Me, so really excited for this one. Then is one that, again, my boyfriend's mother-in-law, this is different in that she read this one and really liked it, and she gave it to me. A lot of times she reads a lot of thrillers, and a lot of the time she'll give them to me and say, this is kind of like a good, airplane book. This one wasn't very good. She's very honest. This one, The Mother-in-Law by Sally Hepworth, she really liked, and she said it's an easy read, but also very well done. And this is about, our protagonist is Lucy, and when she meets her husband's mother, so her mother-in-law, named Diana, she can just tell that Diana is not her number one fan. And so this takes place, I believe, when they have a couple children, they're married, and Diana, her husband's mom, dies by suicide, saying that cancer has ravaged her body and she's just, I guess, ready to go. But the autopsy finds no cancer and poison inside of her. So it's wondering, did she die by suicide? Was she murdered? But from what I can tell, this is not, from what I've seen in reviews, really a straight up thriller by any means. Although there's, some death that happens in it, it's more of a family drama about relationships between others. But I'm shocked. This has like 150,000 reviews on Goodreads and I've never heard of it. The author sounds a little bit familiar, but please let me know if you read this or anything else by the author, but really excited about that one. Then I was kindly sent a copy of Night Watching by Tracy Sierra, and this one I mentioned, and I believe it was a books I want to read for 2024 releases, so I was so excited. So a big thank you to Pamela Dorman Books or Viking Books for sending me this. But this just looks like such an entertaining thriller, and this is about a mother who's home alone with her young children during a blizzard, and after she tucks the kids in bed, she catches a glimpse of a man in her house. So it's about her hiding her children, trying to hide in the house or decide whether or not to fight, and I believe she kind of recognizes the man. So it sounds terrifying, and I mentioned this when I mentioned this in my TBR, that I love home invasion thrillers, and for whatever reason I don't see a lot of them. I'm wondering if this is going to take place over just the course of one night, so it should be really gripping, and I've heard really, really good things about it. Then is a thriller that I've been meaning to read for a really, really long time that I finally picked up a copy of, and that is Unmissing by Minka Kent. And our protagonist is Merritt Coletto, and her husband Luca have been living kind of the perfect idyllic marriage, but that dream ends late one night when they receive a knock on their door. And who is there but his first wife, Lydia, who is weak, broken, and emaciated. She's been missing for 10 years, presumed dead, but here she is alive on their doorstep, and she tells them apparently the story of her kidnapping. But things, I think, start to seem strange from what I can tell. Why didn't she want to go to the police? Is the story she's saying really true? I've heard that this is a really twisty, entertaining thriller, and it looks like it'll be a pretty quick read. I think I had first heard about this from the podcast, The Popcast, which is a pop culture podcast, but they also have some really good book recommendations, so can't wait to pick up this one. Next, I have 3 more, but this is the last one that was a gift from my boyfriend's mom, and this is also a case where she read it, and she said she's mixed thoughts on it, but really wants to know what I thought of this, and this is End of Story by AJ Finn. And first I'll just pause and say, if you know anything about AJ Finn, very interesting to deep dive online. I don't want to get into it because it could take 15 minutes to explain in this video, but some things have come up about him in the press, some revelations around lies, and then he was saying reasons for why he lied. She had no idea, so it was an interesting discussion. But regardless, she gifted this to me and wants to know what I thought of this. But it's described for fans of Knives Out is a spellbinding thriller. The quote it starts off with is, "I'll be dead in 3 months, come tell my story." So writes Sebastian Trapp, a reclusive mystery novelist to his longtime correspondent Nikki Hunter, an expert in detective fiction. With mere months to live, Sebastian invites Nikki to a spectacular San Francisco mansion to help draft his life story. And then there's also a time period where 20 years earlier, on New Year's Eve 1999, Sebastian's first wife and teenage son vanished from different locations and never to be seen again. So again, I've heard kind of mixed things about this and the author in general, but if you've read this, please let me know. But this is also a pretty new one. Wow, I didn't realize this came out this year in 2024, so we will see. The 2 last ones, one is an older book and one is a horror manga, but I received Frankenstein by Junji Ito from my brother, which is really exciting. I will say it has been, and I'm very happy to receive this, but it's been a while since I've read some Junji Ito that I've enjoyed. I think I bought a lot of his mangas because I really loved one of them that I read 8 years ago, but haven't loved a lot since. So hopefully this will be a return to form for maybe one I'll enjoy by him. And then finally is a book that I've been meaning to read for so long. This is a 1993 thriller called A Simple Plan. I've been meaning to read it for a really long time, and it's about 2 brothers and their friend stumble upon the wreckage of a plane. The pilot is dead and his duffel bag contains $4 million in cash. In order to hide, keep, and share the fortune, these ordinary men all agree on a simple plan. But it's one of those books where I feel a little bit similar to it as The Sundown Motel, even though that's newer, where I would always see this in bookstores in the thriller section and think, oh, I want to pick that up. So I'm hoping this will be the year I will finally read it. So those are some books I picked up that I'm really excited about. Again, please let me know if you've read any of these and what your thoughts were, or if you want to see reviews of any of these coming up. In my last video, I reviewed a couple horror novels that I had really mixed thoughts on. So I reviewed them spoiler-free, so I'll have that linked shortly if you want to check it out. But again, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I hope you're staying safe, and I'll see you in the next one.